Hey guys, how's it going? I'm the Meister, and welcome back to Timbukton, and episode 73 of the series. Guys, it's been a little while since I've made a Timbukton episode, so I figured might as well get back into it, because I was working on some other projects, and I kind of left Timbukton on the back burner for a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and start that up back again. So in this episode, I'm going to be working on the suburban area around North Timbukton. So all of the streets have been pre-laid down, so much of this episode is going to be plopping down houses, and that's pretty much it. So initially, I was going to make multiple episodes of like the suburban areas of Timbukton, but I figured, from one suburb to another, there's not really anything that changes that much. Maybe the housing style's a little different, or I might add like different kind of parks or something, but it remains quite the same when building these kind of neighborhoods, and I didn't want to bore you guys too much with that, so I decided to combine everything into one episode and to make it a little bit more enjoyable for you guys. So I'm going to showcase normally what I do in these neighborhoods. You guys probably already know how this works out, but anyways, I normally just go around and I plop down the houses which I think would fit best in a particular style in a particular neighborhood, and I just basically go to town, spend like 15-20 minutes just plopping down houses, and then I'll occasionally zoom out just to check on how the area is starting to look out, and then just get right back into it. So this neighborhood here, because it's on the very outskirts of town, all of the houses will be pretty much modern. But you'll see a little later in this episode, I've built some smaller neighborhoods with a mixture of older houses and it kind of fades into like the older kind of neighborhoods. So I'm not going to showcase the entirety of my house plopping for the entire suburban area of Timbukton. I'm just going to showcase one suburb, and then I'm going to skip ahead, and then you guys will see the finished product. But I am going to work on a couple little things. You'll see a little later on. I'm going to work on a little strip mall, and I'm going to build a little commercial area too later on in the episode. I'm actually really excited about this episode because once we're done here, North Timbukton is pretty much going to be complete, which means that we can move on to other areas of the city and actually even beyond the city. So I'm going to start working on Algonquin County. I want to build like a big national park outside of the city, so there's plenty of things that are in the works that I can't wait to get into. However, there's one major issue that I have to go over, and I'm going to make a full episode on this. So a couple of weeks ago, I just built a new computer for myself. It had been like 6 months in the works just because of parts scarcity and all those kind of things. Like parts were just really hard to come by for a while. I mean, they still are, but I got lucky and got everything I needed. But anyway, so I built my new computer, I transferred everything over, but there's a couple of assets in my mods folder that were manually placed there. So there was this house collection that was on the workshop at one time, and then the creator of those houses removed them from the workshop, but somebody had a backup who then uploaded their version to the workshop. So in order for the houses that were pre-existing in Timbukton to reappear in the game, I had to manually place those workshop items in my mods folder. So I didn't really lose anything in Timbukton that way. Now I totally forgot about that, and when I transferred my save to my new computer, then obviously those houses all disappeared, and it was a house pack that I used extensively throughout the region. So unfortunately, Timbukton has about 20,000 less citizens as of making this video, so that you can see I'm about 81,000 people right now. Before starting this episode, I was almost reaching 100,000 people. I think I was like 98,000 or something. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to fix Timbukton, which is probably gonna take quite some time because there's empty lots all over the map now. So I'm gonna have to go and refill those. Now, thankfully, this issue should not happen again because it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't have to manually take those houses and bring them into my mods folder. It's okay if they're on the workshop. So that is a big plus. So I'm just gonna have to spend some time and replop all those houses. And I'm gonna make a full episode on that too, probably in the near future. But all in all, I mean, Timbukton is almost nearing completion, guys. I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel already. And that's really awesome because even when the map is going to be 100% complete, it's not the end of the world because I have plenty of videos that I can make about the region in its entirety, such as driving videos. I can make feature videos about all little regions, all little nooks and crannies on the map. So it's going to be a ton of fun, guys. Still plenty of life left in Timbukton. Don't you guys worry about the series getting pretty old. And that actually brings me to another topic too that I want to talk about. There was always, the downtown. I really like downtown Timbukton. It's one of the best downtowns that I've built. And it's not a very big downtown by any means. There's no super tall skyscrapers, and that's exactly the way I want it. However, there's some parts near downtown that I think could use some refinement. So in the near future, I'm probably going to make an episode about updating downtown Timbukton. Actually, I think the waterfront needs a little bit of work too. There are some areas where, I think there's a couple of areas where I had like some docks and stuff that just disappeared and it's just dirt now. So I'm going to have to fix that up. Just some general maintenance because it's been a couple of years now since downtown Timbukton has been complete. So I'm just going to basically just make an episode refreshing downtown and its surroundings. There's a ton of new buildings that would fit perfectly in, and like I can replace some older buildings from the workshop with the new ones and they would look just as good. So I'm going to be doing some of that. So that's probably going to come up in the next couple of weeks. And as far as detailing, so I'm not going to do a ton of detailing in these suburban neighborhoods, but the highways that run between them, I plan on adding a ton of detail at some point, such as highway signs and barriers and all sorts of little props and things that would just go to make the area look so much more realistic and lively. And that I'll have to get done before we do any driving videos because, you know, I really want these driving videos to be perfect. Alright, and here's going to be an example of an older neighborhood that would have been here long before this highway was laid down. So as you can see, the houses are much older, the sizes of the yards are not as big, all the houses are way closer together. So this is a good example of an old neighborhood with a really different stylistic change. And as I said, guys, I didn't want to focus an entire episode on me plopping down houses, so here's a transition to what this entire neighborhood looks like, but I left a few empty spaces for things that I wanted to build that are not houses. So everything you see here is just houses. So jumping back into the game here, there's a little neighborhood right by the mall, and I left this empty space here that I'm going to fill in with some commercial areas. Nothing fancy, just little shops and things and strip malls, just some filler basically. I didn't want to focus a lot of attention in this particular spot. But the remainder of this episode is going to be little projects like these. I'm going to be building a school in just a minute here too. And after that, I mean, like I said, I'm super excited because it'll mean this area is all done and then we can move on to other things. There's still some neighborhoods to be developed around South Timbukton and again in Burton too. There's a bunch of neighborhoods that I want to develop there. So we're gonna have to get those done before moving on to other areas of the map. But I'm just so excited that Timbukton is starting to finally reach like what I would call like a completion stage. You know, I could actually stop building the city right now and just fill in all the empty spaces with trees and the city would still look pretty good. But I don't want to do that. I want to finish it in its entirety and I want to build like an entire region. That's my goal with this map. And you know, the series has been going on for what, like 3 years now already? Probably even close to 4, I would say. I forget like the exact date when I started this, but it's been a while. And I'm not even bored of it, guys. That's the awesome part. And then over here in this empty lot, same thing, just little restaurants and shops and stuff. Actually, you know what? No, in this particular spot, I'm gonna place down a theater. Timbukton does not have a theater yet, and I figured it was time that the city had one in one of its commercial zones. So I'm gonna place down an AMC here. And unfortunately, I'm having some trouble with the parking lot, so I end up sacrificing parking lot beauty for, I guess, some better manageability here in a second. I'm just gonna plop down some prefabbed parking lots, but that's okay. I mean, those like different kinds of parking lots and stuff, I don't want to spend a ton of time on different parking lots. So, you know, these nice and simple parking lots that I've used a ton throughout the series work just as great. And they're pretty realistic too, you know, not all parking lots are super fancy with curbs and decorations and things like that. You know, some of them are just literally open pavement lots, and that's all they are. And what made this particular spot challenging too was these power lines. Now, I had trouble with these power lines because I wanted there to be power lines running through like the warehouse part of this map. But then obviously power lines can't just go to nowhere, and there was actually I built a transfer station not too far from here, so I had to get those power lines from the cargo warehouse area to the transfer station. So it makes its way through this neighborhood and through a bunch of residential neighborhoods too. So it was kind of challenging to get that to look pretty nice, because the challenge with that too was the airport is just above what I'm working on right now. So of course you can't have power lines directly in front of a runway. So they ended up here, and it made it a little bit of a challenge when plopping down this AMC. And then once again, we're jumping off to another open field that I left, and I think I'm gonna place down a grocery store in this particular spot. But like I said, guys, this is pretty much all filler. It's not anything interesting, but that's one thing that I appreciate about you guys too. I know some of you have mentioned this on multiple occasions. For a while, I was kind of, I would say like self-conscious about building uninspiring places in Timbukton. You know, of course, you have your beautiful downtown and coastal places on this map, but I wanted this to be a realistic city. And of course, in any city around the world, you'll have your less favorable or more boring neighborhoods, and this is certainly one of them. It's just a regular old grocery store in the outskirts of town. But a lot of you have stepped up and said, no, I really like this content, keep doing this kind of stuff. And I really appreciate that, guys, because it let me know, exactly what you guys want to see and And, you know, I'm just glad that you like this kind of content here that I'm doing right now. But either way, I mean, it's something that has to be done, right? Okay, so with the commercial area being done, I'm going to jump back into the suburbs, and I'm going to build this school. This is going to be a pretty interesting school because it's going to be a high school and an elementary school or middle school, whatever you want, in one particular location. So this entire lot will have 2 schools in it. So you can see the high school is fairly large, and the elementary school it's a building that I've used throughout Timbukton a couple of times in the past. Not enough to really stand out though, which is good. That's something I always try to do. But anyways, there's enough room to build these 2 schools here, but it is a little crammed up because I wanted to place down a football field and maybe some softball fields as well. But I'm gonna have to do some modifications to the neighborhood in order to fit everything that I wanted. But that's gonna be the last thing of this episode. Huge step forward for Timbukton. You know, this is one of the most important regions, and it's a region that I've been putting off for quite some time because honestly, neighborhoods like these are not my favorite thing to work on. I do realize how important they are, and you know, they're just part of any North American city, so you have to place them down. But I'm finally glad that this is done and I can move on to some other areas around the city. There are some more suburbs that are going to have to be laid down in the near future though, so you're going to be seeing some more of this, but at least for now, the big chunk of it has been done. But again, guys, I really hope you like this kind of content. If you do, you know, there's certainly going to be some more of it, so stay tuned. As far as next episode, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I'd like to maybe finish the suburban areas around southern Timbukton too. There's not a whole lot of that to do though, but anyway, I'm gonna like browse around the city and study what needs to be done, and we'll act accordingly. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for some awesome cinematics coming up, and since the last episode of Timbukton, we've gained a couple of patrons, so I'm going to be featuring their houses here in just a second, so stay tuned for that too, especially if you have become a patron and I haven't featured you yet. You're coming up in just a second here. So guys, again, thanks so much for watching. Give this video a good thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel if you like my content. And until the next episode, please take care, guys. Alright, so we have a brand new patron who just moved into town. Just off the coast of Edinburgh is Christopher Like. Now, I gave him a nice cozy house right by the beach over here, zooming into this little cove. And I actually really like this location. This is one of my favorite little quaint little spots in the entire map. Plenty of boats and fishing going on. It's just a really nice place to be installed. So Christopher is on the tip of this peninsula here. Some nice big rocks on his property. A very nice piece of land. And what does Christopher do for work? He works as an executive at the Timbukton cruise ship line, so it's a very prestigious place to be. Thanks for becoming a patron, man. Next up we have, I really hope I'm not going to butcher his name here, but Gergely Vairu. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, so I'm really sorry if I butchered it. But anyways, Gergely is installed on Ernest Island. He's the first patron to be on Ernest Island in this nice corner lot here. Nice ocean view. Same thing, he's got a pool in the back of the house. All sorts of nice stuff going on in his yard. He's in a really good location too, just outside of Burton. He's kind of central to the entire region, so it's really easy to get around here. There's like bus stations and everything that are driving around this area too. Not that Gergelli would have to take the bus, he has a couple nice cars in the yard. Anyway, Gergelli is on the executive team of the Timbukton Arena. Okay, so he's actually part owner of the arena. So again, really prestigious title to have. Thanks, Gergelli, for becoming a patron.